The forest was silent that night. The only sound was the cold wind passing through the dead trees. A young man named Elias Vorn walked carefully along a narrow path, carrying a small lantern and an old scanner that beeped softly every few seconds. He was searching for old machine parts, maybe some lost metal to sell in the settlement nearby. But that night, he found something no machine could explain. He heard a soft sound, a cry, faint and trembling. It didn't sound like any animal he knew. Elias stopped walking and listened again. The sound came from deeper in the forest, behind a broken fence and a fallen tree. He slowly moved closer, pushing aside branches until he saw her. There, under the pale light of the moon, sat a girl, but she was not human. Her skin was pale like glass, her hair silver white, and behind her back were wings large and beautiful but badly torn. The feathers shimmered with a faint blue light, and her hands were covering her face as she cried quietly. Elias froze in shock. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. Then his scanner started to beep rapidly. Its sensors picked up unknown energy, something not from Earth. He turned it off quickly and hid it in his pocket. The girl looked up suddenly, her bright eyes wide with fear. She tried to move away, but pain stopped her. Her right wing was bent at an odd angle. "It's okay," Elias said softly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I won't hurt you." She didn't understand his words, but something in his tone made her stop shaking. Elias slowly took out his water flask and placed it on the ground between them. "Water," he said, pointing to it. The girl blinked, then reached out carefully. She drank, trembling, but her eyes softened a little. That was how it began, the strange friendship between a human scavenger and a lost winged girl. Elias took her to an old shelter he had built near the forest edge. It was small, made from metal panels and old ship parts, but warm enough. He cleaned her wounds as best as he could. Her blood was faintly blue and glowed for a few seconds when exposed to air. For days she didn't speak. She watched him with careful eyes, studying every move. When she finally spoke, it was in a strange melodic language that sounded like singing. Elias couldn't understand, but he could tell when she said her name, Lyra. Lyra often looked at the sky through the cracks of the shelter's roof. Her eyes filled with longing, as if she missed something far away. Once, when Elias pointed at her wings and then at the stars, she nodded slowly and whispered a word that sounded like home. Elias spent weeks taking care of her. He brought her food, mostly fruits and bread from the settlement. Sometimes she refused, staring at the ground sadly. But when he smiled and pretended to eat first, she laughed quietly and followed his lead. Bit by bit, trust grew between them. One night, a loud explosion echoed from the direction of the city. Elias looked out and saw bright red lights in the distance. Patrol drones searching the area. They had been scanning for signs of alien energy for weeks. The military had reported that something had fallen from the sky near the forest. He turned to Lyra quickly. "We have to hide." She didn't understand the words, but she saw the fear in his eyes and nodded. He helped her move to a small underground storage room beneath the shelter. She folded her wings tightly, trying not to make a sound. The drones passed above, shining blue lights over the trees. Elias stood perfectly still, his heart beating fast. He could hear the faint hum of their engines. Then slowly the sound faded away. The danger had passed for now. When he opened the trapdoor, Lyra was still sitting there, hugging her knees. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Without speaking, she reached into her torn cloak and pulled out a single silver feather. She placed it in his hand and closed his fingers around it. Elias looked at the feather. It glowed faintly, warm to the touch. "Thank you," she whispered. The first word he clearly understood. He smiled softly. "You're welcome." Over the next few weeks, Lyra began to recover. Her wings healed slowly, though she still couldn't fly. Sometimes she hummed strange songs, soft and gentle, and the air around them seemed to shimmer faintly with light. Elias didn't know if it was magic or technology, but he didn't care. He only knew that her presence made the world feel less broken. But danger grew closer each day. Soldiers from the city began searching the forest more often. Elias heard rumors. People said an alien ship had crashed nearby, and the government wanted to find whatever came from it. He knew they were looking for Lyra. One evening, while Elias repaired a small generator, Lyra approached him. She looked at the feather in the glass jar he kept beside his bed. Then she placed her hand over his heart and said something softly in her language. Her tone was sad, like a goodbye. Elias didn't understand, but he felt a cold fear inside. "Lyra, what are you saying?" She smiled faintly and pointed to the stars through the window. "Home," she said again. Before he could answer, a distant roar filled the sky. Bright lights flashed above the forest, ships small and silver scanning the area. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. She stepped back, breathing quickly as if remembering something painful. Elias grabbed her hand. "We have to go." They ran out into the trees. Behind them, the sky grew brighter as searchlights swept the ground. Suddenly, a beam of blue light struck the earth just a few meters away. Lyra turned to Elias, her wings unfolding slightly despite the pain. For a moment, she looked like a creature of pure light and air. Then she gave him a final look, half sorrow, half gratitude, and whispered, "Safe." Before he could reach her, a blinding flash surrounded her. When it faded, she was gone. Only a faint glow remained on the ground where her wings had touched. Elias fell to his knees, staring at the empty space. He picked up her silver feather, the last sign she had ever been real. The forest was silent once again. He didn't know it yet, but that night, when he found and lost the winged girl, would be remembered not only by him but by the stars themselves. Years passed. 20 years had gone by since Elias had last seen Lyra. The memory of the winged girl never left him, though. He kept her silver feather in a small glass case on his desk, often staring at it for hours. Sometimes he thought he could almost hear her soft voice in the wind, whispering through the trees of the forest. Elias had changed a lot in those years. The small scavenger who once searched forests for scraps had become a respected engineer and scientist. His discoveries of unusual metals and old alien technology had earned him a place in the United Earth Council, where people often looked to him for advice about the unknown. But despite his success, a part of him always felt empty, a missing piece that no achievement could replace. The world itself had changed too. Cities had grown taller, spreading across the wastelands. Machines flew silently above, scanning for resources and threats. Humanity was cautious, always wary of the stars, yet still dreaming of what might be out there. And then, one clear night, the sky changed. Elias was standing on the balcony of his laboratory, sipping warm tea when he saw it first. A streak of silver light crossed the horizon, moving faster than any human craft. He froze, holding the feather in his hand. Something deep inside him told him it was her. He wasn't wrong. Within moments, dozens of ships appeared, silver and shining like the wings of angels. They moved in perfect formation, cutting through the clouds with precision that human technology could not match. Panic spread across the cities below. Sirens wailed, and emergency broadcasts urged citizens to stay indoors. Elias did not move. His heart pounded. He could see the largest ship at the center, glowing brighter than the rest. Then from the deck, a figure appeared, tall, with wings of pure light stretching high above her. It was Lyra. She looked the same as the day he had last seen her, yet more powerful and regal. Her silver-white hair glowed softly in the evening light. Her eyes met his across the distance, and for a moment the world seemed to stop. The human leaders were terrified. Jets scrambled toward the fleet, but Lyra's ships moved with unmatched speed and skill, avoiding every attack. Then she raised one hand and a calm voice echoed across every city, not through speakers, but directly into people's minds. "Humans," she said. 20 years ago, one of you gave me shelter when I had nowhere to go. I come now not as a conqueror, but as a friend." Elias felt tears prick his eyes. Her voice was soft but carried power, warmth, and authority. Every human listening felt it, an alien yet comforting presence. The United Earth Council called an emergency meeting. Scientists, generals, and leaders crowded the council hall. All eyes were on Elias. He stepped forward, holding Lyra's feather in his hand. "She is the same girl I found in the forest," he explained. "She is not here to harm us. She is here because of kindness, because of a choice I made 20 years ago." Some council members were skeptical. "How do we know this is not a trick?" "We can't trust alien beings," one general argued. "What if this is an invasion?" Elias shook his head. "She is not like us, but that is why she matters. Her people saw humanity as small and weak, but kindness, empathy, and courage mean more than strength alone. That is what changed them." Outside, Lyra's fleet hovered silently, wings folding and unfolding in the clouds. Her ships were enormous yet elegant, shaped like giant birds. Humans looked up in awe and fear. The entire sky was filled with light, and yet there was no chaos, only beauty and calm. Over the next few days, the world watched as Lyra's fleet moved in careful formation over cities and deserts. She did not land immediately. Instead, she projected her image across the sky, sharing knowledge of her people, their technology, and their history. They were explorers, star travelers who had once faced a terrible civil war. Lyra had been exiled because she opposed the use of force to conquer weaker worlds. Her fleet was now a symbol of peace and protection, not of war. And yet humans struggled to trust them, nations argued. Some saw this as an opportunity for alliance, while others saw a threat that could destroy Earth in an instant. Amid all this, Elias remained calm. He knew Lyra's heart. He had seen her cry in the forest, had held her fragile wings, and had learned her silent language. He knew that her actions were guided by gratitude and honor. One evening, Lyra projected herself directly into the council hall, speaking only to Elias in a soft tone. "You gave me a choice, Elias. You showed me the meaning of care. Now I offer the same to your people. Will they accept it?" Elias nodded, his eyes wet. "I will help them see, Lyra, I promise," she smiled faintly. "Then the sky will remember your kindness." But not all humans were ready to accept this gift. Some factions believed Lyra's fleet could take control of Earth at any moment. Military forces began preparing for conflict. Rumors spread of secret weapons designed to strike the alien ships. The tension was high, and for the first time in decades, Elias feared that the choice he had made 20 years ago might lead to war instead of peace. Lyra seemed to sense this. She sent small teams to assist human cities, helping with repairs, energy shortages, and communication networks. Her people moved like guardians rather than conquerors. Slowly, fear began to shift toward awe. Humanity was witnessing the impossible, a civilization from the stars returning not to fight, but to repay a debt of kindness. Elias watched all of this with a strange mixture of pride and sadness. He wondered if he would ever see Lyra as the small, trembling girl again. And yet, even as she now commanded a fleet that split the sky, he realized that the bond they shared had never changed. At night, he would look at the stars and imagine her flying freely above the clouds, wings spreading light across the heavens. The memory of the forest, of her tears, and of the silver feather kept him grounded, reminding him that even the greatest events could begin with a single act of care. And somewhere high above, Lyra thought of him too. She remembered the human who had chosen compassion over fear, the human who had given her hope when all seemed lost. And because of that choice, the galaxy had changed forever. The world had never seen anything like it. Lyra's fleet hung over Earth like a constellation come to life. Cities glowed beneath the silver ships, and the people gazed upward in awe, fear, and hope. For 20 years, humanity had lived cautious lives, dreaming of the stars but wary of what they might bring. Now the stars had come to them, not as conquerors but as allies. Elias stood on a high balcony of the United Earth Council, holding Lyra's silver feather in his hand, the same feather she had left for him in the forest 2 decades ago. It had been his constant reminder of her, of the promise he had made to protect her, and the kindness that had shaped her life. Lyra's voice echoed across the council hall, soft yet commanding. "Humans," she said, "I have returned because one of you chose compassion over fear. That choice changed my people, and now I offer the same gift to you: peace, knowledge, and alliance." Many humans were skeptical. Generals whispered about hidden threats. Politicians argued that no alien gift could be free of strings. Some factions wanted to strike first, fearing that the fleet might attack tomorrow. Elias stepped forward. "Lyra is not here to destroy us," he said firmly. "She is here because we once showed kindness. That is how she judges humanity, not by strength or weapons, but by heart and courage. Trust is not given lightly, but it can be earned." Lyra's image shimmered above the hall, her wings folding gracefully. "I came to repay a debt of gratitude, not to demand anything. Your world can choose to accept friendship, or ignore it at its own risk." The first signs of cooperation were small but powerful. Lyra's fleet assisted cities struggling with energy shortages, repairing damaged power grids in a matter of hours. Medical supplies arrived from her ships to aid regions suffering from illness. Her people demonstrated technology humans had only dreamed of: energy shields that could protect entire neighborhoods, transportation pods that moved without roads, and communication devices that connected continents instantly. Even the most skeptical began to change their minds. Humans saw that Lyra's people were not invaders but guardians. They were capable of great destruction, yes, but chose restraint and honor. Yet not all humans trusted this new alliance. Some saw her fleet as a threat and tensions began to rise. A secret plan emerged to launch a surprise attack on one of Lyra's ships. Elias learned of it through the council. His heart sank. "This cannot happen," he said. "If humans strike first, everything will be lost. We must show that we can choose differently than fear and aggression." He went to the balcony, staring up at Lyra's fleet. "Lyra," he called softly, holding her feather high. "Please help me convince them." Her voice responded in a soft, melodic tone. "I will guide them, Elias, but humans must choose for themselves." The next day, Lyra descended in a single ship, landing at the edge of the council plaza. She stood before the people, her silver-white wings shining in the sunlight. A hush fell over the crowd. "I do not come to rule," she said, "nor to demand your loyalty. I came because one human once gave me shelter and safety when I had nothing. That act of kindness changed my people, and now I bring that choice to you. Will you accept friendship or will you let fear guide you?" Her words were simple, yet they resonated in the hearts of everyone present. Some wept openly. Others, hardened by years of struggle, felt something they had forgotten. Hope. Elias stepped beside her. "I know her," he said. "I know that her heart is true, and if we can trust her, perhaps we can trust ourselves too." Slowly, the council agreed to open talks with Lyra's people. She shared knowledge of the stars, explained the history of her civilization, and revealed the lessons that had shaped her people into guardians rather than conquerors. As the days passed, humans and Lyra's people began working together. Cities became safer, travel faster, and communication easier. Earth learned how to harness energy from the stars. Humanity began to look outward once again, not with fear but with curiosity and courage. One evening, after a long day of cooperation, Elias walked alone to the edge of the council building. He held Lyra's feather, feeling its warmth. The sun was setting and the sky was painted with orange and gold. A soft voice spoke behind him. "You have done well, Elias." He turned and saw Lyra standing beside him. Her wings were folded now, but the light of her presence made them seem like they were still stretching to the heavens. "You taught me trust," she continued, "and because of that, humanity now has a chance to reach for the stars without fear. You reminded me that even small acts can change the course of history." Elias smiled. "You gave me hope too," he said. "I never thought I would see you again, not like this." Lyra knelt slightly and touched the feather in his hand. "This is more than a memory," she said. "It is a promise that even the smallest kindness can grow into something greater than we imagine." That promise has now shaped the sky itself. The fleet prepared to leave, their mission of peace accomplished. Lyra addressed Elias once more, her voice carrying softly over the wind. "I must go, Elias. My people have many worlds to protect and many journeys to take. But remember this, you showed me the meaning of compassion. The universe will remember your name." Elias watched as her ships lifted into the sky. They spread their wings in formation, a display so magnificent it seemed to split the heavens. Light reflected off their silver hulls, casting beams over the land. Children pointed and laughed. Adults stared in awe. For a moment, all fear vanished. And then, they were gone, leaving only the memory of wings in the sky and the warmth of hope in human hearts. Elias returned to his laboratory, holding the feather close. He placed it in the glass case once more, knowing that it was no longer just a memory of Lyra. It was a symbol of what humanity could become. He looked out at the stars that night, wondering what lay beyond. And somewhere far away, Lyra's fleet flew through the galaxy, carrying the story of a human who had chosen kindness. 20 years after finding a winged girl crying in the forest, the sky itself had been split not by war but by the promise of hope, compassion, and the bond between two very different beings who believed in each other. The universe had remembered,